Hello. Welcome to the first stage of the strategic planning process. If you're watching this video, it means that you signed up for the Mission and Values Group, or Group 1, that's going to have the responsibility for generating a mission statement and affirming a set of core values, or beliefs and ideals that are so important that we can't even imagine being an institution without them. This is going to be important work, and it's going to go much more quickly than it has in other places that I've been associated with. And we've got about 100 people who have volunteered to participate in strategic planning in this phase. And that is amazing. That's exactly what I was hoping would happen. But it means that we're going to have to supplement our live face-to-face meetings with a little bit of smart collaboration technology. So I wanted to introduce you first to this SharePoint site and then talk a little bit about how the whole process is going to unfold throughout the year. And then we'll go on to talking specifically about the charge of the Mission and Values Group. I'm fairly new to SharePoint, but I really like what I've seen so far. We are now using this as the primary tool for collaboration for the VP Ops group, and we're starting to use it for the Dean's Council. It's a lot like Blackboard, except it's designed more for people who are collaborating and less for somebody who's instructing. So there are a lot of tools that we have here that allow us to talk to each other, share documents, jointly edit documents. We're going to have a document library, first of all, on this site that will contain pretty much all of the previous work that's been done in strategic planning. As I said a few times already, the strategic planning process is not starting from square one. We have done in all of the academic areas and in all of the other areas, we've done an enormous amount of work on strategic planning over the next 5 years. We have more strategic plans and more objectives and more values and more goals than we can incorporate. So this is going to be a process of taking what's been done and whittling it down and figuring out who we are, figuring out who we aren't, figuring out what of the things that we've said we want to do, which ones are the most important, which ones are the ones that are going to define us in the future. So we're going to have all of these documents loaded onto the site. We're also going to have a bulletin board for collaboration. There's an email area that maps on to your Outlook that will allow you to keep all of the conversations from the group in one place, sort of curated and attached to the discussions that occur in this group. And then as we get drafts and as we get early ideas, we're going to put them on the site and let everybody comment on them and have sort of a joint editing process. That it's not going to take the place of the groups that you're going to be meeting face-to-face in, but it is going to supplement those groups, make sure that people who can't attend the meetings, because when you've got 60 people who have to come to a group, there are always going to be people who can't attend certain meetings, and it's going to allow for more people to contribute than can in a 1 or even a 2-hour meeting, just because of the time limitations of the meetings that we're going to have. So log into this site often, please. Bookmark it. Things are going to start moving quickly, and this site is going to allow communications between group members, the group chairs, and me. I will be putting new things on this site almost every day during the strategic planning process. And what I want and what I think we need as an institution is for everybody who is involved in this to have a maximum opportunity to share your feelings, to share your input, and to help to support the plan and the ideas that are emerging so that these plans have input from as far across the university as we can possibly take them. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being willing to devote a good portion of your semester to this work. And what I want to do now is talk a little bit about the whole process, what the strategic plan is designed to accomplish, what the elements are going to be, and what it's going to look like when it's all done. Before we start talking about what the strategic plan is, I want to talk a little bit about what I hope it isn't going to end up being like, and that is everybody else's strategic plan. Linda White, the chair of our board, shared this cartoon with the whole board at a meeting last year. And it stuck with me for a long time. It's funny because it's true. I've read dozens of strategic plans from colleges and universities, and just about all of them would fit into this cookie cutter model. Grow the endowment, attract high ability students, support faculty and staff excellence, build a diverse global community. These are good things to do. They're what everybody is saying that they're going to do. So these aren't things that distinguish us. So the first thing I'm going to ask everybody to do when we start talking about mission and vision and objectives and goals is move beyond what almost everybody else is doing, because the purpose of this strategic plan has got to be to find ways to distinguish ourselves and to talk about things that we can do in other universities can't do. Because we've got to start articulating the reasons that students should come to the University of Evansville and not one of the other 3,000 colleges and universities that have this same strategic plan. So, what is a strategic plan? First of all, it's as much of a process as it is a product, and maybe even more of a process than it is a product. And that means that we're going to produce a document. My guess is it'll be ultimately about a 30-page document, and it's going to contain a lot of important things that we talk about, but it's not going to contain everything that we talk about. And the fact that we're getting together in groups that cut across the various areas of our campus and talking about who we are, talking about what makes us unique, these things are valuable independent of the product that we end up producing, because these are conversations that every healthy institution and every healthy university has to have from time to time. We need to have serious conversations about what is most important to us, because if we don't understand that, we're going to have a very difficult time articulating it and explaining it to other people. A strategic plan starts out by defining the core mission of our organization. What is the University of Evansville? What makes us different than other universities, other organizations? What are the values that are most important to us? We start with these. Now, the strategic plan moves beyond these things, but until we have a very solid sense of what defines us, what makes us matter, then it is not going to be possible to build the kinds of goals and objectives that we need to create in order to move forward. We are creating a vision for the near to mid-range future. The operative timeline of the plan will be 2019 through 2024. So it's a 5-year strategic plan, 10 semesters, 5 summers, and we're going to specify some specific things that we're going to do in order to get to a specific place. And those things are going to then start being tied to our budgeting, start being tied to our planning, being tied to how we represent ourselves to accreditors, donors, students, community members, potential hires, potential faculty and staff members. All of these things answer the question, where are we going? The strategic plan establishes goals that allow us to enact our vision, enact what we see as our most important functions, while remaining faithful to those core identities. So the strategic plan is supposed to prevent mission creep. It's supposed to prevent us from trying to do everything and trying to do more good things than we have the resources to do. So I like to say that strategic planning is not just about what we are going to do, it's about what we're not going to do. We have to decide what's most important so we don't waste or dilute resources on things that are less important. And if we don't do that, we end up trying to do all good things simply because they're good. And neither we nor any other university has the resources to do all good things. We also have to devise concrete ways to answer the question, are we winning? Are we succeeding? Are we doing what we say we're going to do? So after we design the
goals and objectives, we're going to have to create action steps and measurement metrics so that we can hold ourselves accountable to ourselves, to our board of trustees, to our community for making the goals that we plan a reality. When this is all over in May, when we have a strategic plan completed, we're going to have what I anticipate will be about a 30-page document, and it's going to have 9 different kinds of things in it, the 9 elements of the strategic plan. And I want to go over each one of these in this very brief presentation. We're going to have a mission statement, a set of core values, a vision statement, strategic goals, objectives, action steps, key performance indicators, a budget, and a timeline. So here's what all of these mean, and here's how they're all going to come together. I just want everyone to have a sense of how what we're doing right now is going to fit into something larger and how it's going to fit into a finished product. Mission statement should be a simple, direct, easily memorizable one sentence. If there's any way we can make it one sentence, but something short that when people read it, when people see it, anybody who knows anything about the University of Evansville says, yeah, that's it. That gets us. And they're deceptively simple. A good mission statement can be very short, but can, in those few words, boil down the essence of an institution. Here are some examples of mission statements that I think are really good. First one, from the TED organization, you know, the TED Talks, they have a 2-word mission statement, spreading ideas. The Humane Society, they have a 4-word mission statement, celebrating animals, confronting cruelty. And I'd be willing to bet that just about anybody who read that could guess that it was the Humane Society or some very similar organization just from those 4 words. It's that good of a mission statement. The Smithsonian, the increase and diffusion of knowledge. The Monterey Bay Aquarium, to inspire conservation of the oceans. Oxfam, to create lasting solutions to poverty, hunger, and social injustice. The March of Dimes, we help moms have full-term pregnancies and research the problems that threaten the health of babies. And Habitat for Humanity International, seeking to put God's love into action, Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. So there's a couple of mission statements that tell you, I think, what's essential about a nonprofit institution, what they do better than anybody else, what motivates the people that work there, what makes people excited to get up in the morning and go to work, because these institutions assure the world and assure their own employees and volunteers that this is what they're about. This is what they do. Once we've affirmed and articulated a mission statement, our next task is going to be to create or to affirm a set of core values. And the core values are ideas, ideals that are so important to us as an institution that we can't even imagine not having them. That if all of a sudden we could no longer express these values, we would pack up and say there's no point anymore of even being us. We're all going to get into another line of work. And these are things that are completely non-negotiable to us. And there are things that everybody at UE should know and be able to discuss. So there can't be too many of them. There's no set number. Most institutions that I think do this well articulate 3 or 4 values that they say are core to who they are. They're constitutive of their purpose as an institution. So we articulate the mission and the core values, and then we go on to articulate a vision. The vision is going to be a 1-paragraph to 1-page statement of where the organization sees itself in the next 5 to 10 years. So in 2024, what does the University of Evansville look like? These are normally written in the present tense, as if we were writing it in the future. We will say in 2024, the University of Evansville is, And then we express a vision that is clearly tied to the mission, that articulates the core goals, and that articulates the kind of institution that we see ourselves realistically becoming. So this can't be entirely idealistic. It's aspirational. These are the things that we aspire to being, but we're going to try to create a plan to take us from here to there, and that means that this is going to have to be an achievable vision, something that if we are willing to put in the work, the resources, and the institutional attention to this vision, we have a reasonable opportunity to accomplish what we say we're going to accomplish. In order to get to the vision statement, we create a set of strategic goals. The strategic goals are the what gets us from here to there. They look at where we are right now, what we need to focus on, what we need in order to move towards and become the institution that we describe in the vision statement. These aren't things that are absolutely crucial to the inherent mission and values of the institution, though they're based on those things. But the strategic goals are the things that we think it's most important to focus on now. Things that will take us from where we are and where we think we need to go. This is an opportunity to establish what we're not going to focus on right now. Because we can only support institutionally a limited number of initiatives, we have to say these are our goals, this is where we're going to put our resources and our attention, and there are lots of other wonderful, powerful, meaningful, good things that we could do, that we may do at a future time, but for the next 5 years, these are the things that are going to get our attention, because we're moving to a place, we're moving towards a vision. And to do that, we can't dilute our focus too much. So then we're going to have a series of objectives and action steps. And before I talk about these, I just want to talk a little bit about the difference, because in my experience, one of the great skills that we all need to cultivate is understanding the level of abstraction of a goal, an objective, and an action step. So just a concrete set of examples here. A goal is a large area of focus that we want to make progress towards during the planning period. UE will become a more important part of local communities in southern Indiana. That's not quite either we did it or we didn't, because it's scalable. It's something that we believe is important. If we believe that this is important, it's something that we can make progress towards. It's something we can always do better, though. So it's something that we measure our progress towards, but we don't say, okay, now that goal is done, we move on to something else. An objective is a more specific, measurable target that we are saying we will achieve this during the planning period. At the end of 5 years, we will create curricular connections to students in local high schools. That's an objective. That is something that we are not doing now, we're not doing much of now, that we can do more of. So the objective is something that we complete during the time period. And an action step is a very specific task that's going to be completed at a very specific time. So we would say in the fall of 2020, we will meet with 5 high schools to discuss dual enrollment programs at UE. And that's something we can put on a timeline, and that's something that we can say, this is what we're going to do, and if we don't do it, then we have to explain to ourselves and our board why we aren't doing it. Objectives, which are going to be probably the key part of the second phase of the plan. Objectives should be what the people who say such things say are SMART. And that is an acronym, and it means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed, or things that we can actually put a timeline to. Now, it's very possible that achievable and realistic mean the same things, but then we would just have SMAT. So we're going to go with the objectives are going to be SMART objectives, and we're going to put them in a chart that looks something like this. And this and the next slide are taken from the last strategic plan that I directed, which was at Newman University, my previous institution. We have a set of goals Here is goal 1. The university will nurture a positive, uplifting environment by supporting its human, financial, and physical resources. And we have a set of objectives under this goal. And I believe there were 3 or 4 objectives under this goal, but I'm just going to show you one here. We will develop and maintain physical resources and technological infrastructures that will allow us to meet our curricular and co-curricular goals. And then action steps: build a health science center, get a course management system up and running, develop standards for bring your own device protocol, implement a process for maintaining a 5-year rolling capital improvement plan. Those are action steps where we say we're going to do them at a certain time, and we're going to, this is how much it's going to cost, and these then become our budget. When we create our budget for that year, we will put this all on a timeline like this. Here is spring 2011. It's already happened. These are the goals, the objectives, and the action statements. And we say that the action item is, this is the person who is responsible. And every semester, every year, this becomes our budget, and this becomes the first thing that we talk about at our Dean's Council or our VP Ops group or our President's Council. These are the things that we pull up and we say, this is what we're going to do. So that's, I hope you get some sense of what the final strategic plan is going to look like. And now I want to talk very specifically about the mission statement and the values part of it that you are being tasked with creating during this segment of the planning period. So let's back up a little bit, back to the mission statement, and focus in a little bit more on what makes a good university mission statement. And I've got some examples. Here are some examples of statements from universities that, in my opinion, really do what a mission statement should do. They tell you what the university thinks about itself, and they tell you what matters most to the university. And they're not all the same, and they shouldn't all be the same, because universities are different. And one of the things that a mission statement needs to do is capture what is different about it. So here are just a couple for your perusal. University of Rochester: learn, discover, heal, create, and make the world ever better. Carnegie Mellon University: to have a transformative impact on society through continual innovation in education, research, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Augustana College is committed to offering a challenging education that develops qualities of mind, spirit, and body necessary for a rewarding life of leadership and service in a diverse and changing world. Carleton College is devoted to academic excellence, distinguished by the creative interplay of teaching, learning, and scholarship, and dedicated to our diverse residential community and extensive international engagements. Concordia University Irvine empowers students to the liberal arts and professional studies for lives of learning, service, and leadership. Drake University prepares students for meaningful personal lives, professional accomplishments, and responsible global citizenship. Park University provide access to a quality higher education experience that prepares a diverse community of learners to think critically, communicate effectively, demonstrate a global perspective, and engage in lifelong learning and service to others. That one might stack a little bit too much on, but you're getting the point. St. Catherine's University: educate students to lead and influence. And Stetson University, where President Petroskevich came from, embrace leadership in an increasingly complex, interdependent, and technological world, and commit to active forms of social responsibility. So these are all one-sentence mission statements that make large claims, but also distinguish a little bit between universities and encapsulate some of the core values that the universities have. Now let's look at our mission statement. First, let's look at the fact that we have in our catalog mission statements rather than a mission statement. And that's a problem right there, because we do have several kinds of statements that function more or less as mission statements. But this is what we officially list in our catalog as our mission statement. The University of Evansville is dedicated to active learning and scholarship. We are committed to the liberal arts and sciences as a basis for intellectual and personal growth. The university endeavors to prepare women and men for lives of personal and professional service and leadership. The university is aware of the challenges of living in an international community and therefore adopts a global view in its programs and its vision. There's more. The University of Evansville preserves its independent nature and values its ties to the United Methodist Church. It emphasizes undergraduate education and supports an array of liberal arts and sciences and professional programs. The university selects talented and motivated students and faculty. The student-faculty ratio promotes individual attention and optimal learning. The university values learning as a means of attaining freedom from ignorance and prejudice. Because education is a lifelong process of critical inquiry, the university commits resources to continuing education programs in the greater community. So you notice a difference between those statements, learn, discover, heal, create, and make the world even better, and our very long catalog of things, all of which are legitimate things, but things that we say that we value more than anything else. So we've got to pare down the mission statement. Now we've got something to go on here. We've got a lot to go on because we have other mission-y statements in our current strategic plan and in our current identity documents. We have an identity statement. The University of Evansville is an independent, academically selected, internationally committed university affiliated with the United Methodist Church that integrates distinctive liberal arts education and dynamic professional purposes. We have a vision statement to be an innovative institution of global research and reputation whose students develop the knowledge and skills, vision, and wisdom to lead and to serve. And we have a core purpose to provide students with life-transforming educational experiences that prepare them to engage the world as informed, ethical, and productive citizens. And you look at that, that core purpose sounds an awful lot like a mission statement. And as a matter of fact, a core purpose and a mission statement are about the same thing. So if I were in your position right now, if I were on the committee to articulate a mission statement, I would start here with what we've said is our core purpose, to provide students with life-transforming educational experiences that prepare them to engage the world as informed, ethical, and productive citizens, and use that as something to build on, maybe take a little bit away from, but use this as the starting point and as the initial template for the mission statement that we're going to end up with, and see where you go with that, see where that takes you, because here we have just the kind of statement that, in my opinion, does what mission statements need to do. Core values. We've got a little bit more work to do on the core values than we possibly do on the mission statement, but it's a kind of work that, like almost everything else we're doing at this stage, we're paring down rather than building up. We don't have an articulated list of the values that we say are the most important to us. But if we look through our mission documents, and I did go through all of the identity documents that we publish, and I came up with 18 possible values. Now, 18 is way too many. We want to focus these down, but these are the things we say right now are the things that we value in our various identity documents. Active learning, scholarship, community, global vision, liberal education, preparation, mainly career preparation or training for a specific kind of productive activity, creativity, insight, spirituality, and this comes through our identification in several places of our connection to the United Methodist Church and to the Christian tradition. Communication, collaboration, leadership, innovation, and then a new word that's becoming important on our campus, change making, independence, selectivity, service, integrity. So after this group comes up with a mission statement, and we get that in just the shape that we want it, the next task is to pare down this list, combine, split into different categories, eliminate, augment, but to come up with 3 or 4 principles that we say are the values that are the most important to us, and then to write a paragraph about each one of those explaining why those values are important to us. And when we've done all of that, when we've created the mission statement and then the statement of core values, then the work of this committee will be done and we'll begin the second phase of the strategic planning process.